Hello and welcome to a very special Media Matters. We are getting the Hungarian perspective on a lot of newcoming Liverpool potential left back coming in for Liverpool in Kerkez. Obviously, our Hungarian maestro in midfield, Dominic Szoboszlai, and a very unique perspective as well. Aaron, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon as well, buds. How are you doing, most importantly?
Well, thanks for having me. I mean, it's the time of my life. As you can
Yeah.
tell, I have an affiliation with Liverpool. So to see Hungarians just gravitate there, it's fantastic. I never thought that I would live the day when these things happen, and here we are.
Yeah, obviously Peter Galacki obviously did move to the Bundesliga, obviously in his younger days anyway. But I think we are very much quickly, as we will speak in today's episode, mate. We are amassing a potential starting 11 for the Hungarian national team very soon. If the players do continue to keep on joining Liverpool, mate. But Aaron, first and foremost, we'll get straight into in regards to getting your insight in regards to a potential signing coming into Liverpool, Milos Kerkez. How proud does it, as you alluded to, obviously a big Liverpool fan yourself, but I think obviously that the prospects of Milos Kerkez potentially moving to Liverpool, how proud would that make you? And how proud will it make obviously the Hungarian nation as well?
We are very proud. Obviously, Dominic was the
Yeah.
first person to have this jump. We have a couple of players in top league, but they're usually not, the title contenders. So to have players to finally have this jump of getting to the top of the table, so to speak, it's very exciting. And I don't think we expected Kerkes to have this huge jump, because if you look at his past, he is very quickly jumping the ranks, from Jur to
Mm.
then uh, AC Milan, which was still the reserves, but still, it's rare when Maldini comes in person to tell, like, "Hey mate, I actually like how you play. Do you want to come play with us?"
Mm.
And when you play in the Hungarian second division as a
Yeah.
16-year-old, what even is that? That's
Yeah.
crazy. And then obviously he did really well in the Netherlands, and then in Bournemouth. You can see a trajectory of always just getting better and better and better, which is very exciting to see.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. And me as a fan as well, like you and a lot of Liverpool fans, let's hope the deal does get concluded very soon in the future as well, mate. I'm excited. I know you will be, and a lot of Liverpool
Oh yeah.
fans out there. But yeah, thank you very much for that insight, mate. In terms of you've obviously watched him, in terms of you alluded to, is obviously great developments, for coming from Hungary and in younger academy days as well. But what would you say his best like attributes are, his best skill sets are as a player, really, for any potential for the Liverpool fans out there?
I think what I enjoy most about his style is that he's very energetic.
Mm.
You can tell if you watch highlights from Bournemouth, even sometimes he just, I don't know how he just gathers the rest of his energy, and it's just a burst of like rapid movements or just flying into a duel.
Yeah.
You just always see him to have this ongoing energy and enthusiasm, which from even if you're not a fan of a club that he plays for, it's fun to watch. He's just a lot of fun to watch because of that. And he's been improving in a sense of when to fly into tackles. We had a few issues with it, the Hungarian national team,
Yeah.
because sometimes you have to be really smart about how you approach a game.
Mm.
And for example, he had a silly red card against Bulgaria before the Euros, and Soboslai told the media that they were like praying, like, please don't do anything stupid, and then immediately he got a red card in the second half. So but you don't see these silly mistakes anymore, so
Mm.
you can tell how he learns from these mistakes, at least in my opinion he does.
Yeah.
So that's one really good aspect of his game. But honestly, he did improve in a lot of ways. His crossing is phenomenal at this point. The last few months at Bournemouth was really impressive in that regard. The passing, the movement of the ball movement, crossing, he really elevated himself, in my opinion.
That's fantastic to hear. Yeah, and let's hope you start whipping in balls to the likes of Salah and Dominic Szoboszlai, breaking the lines, penetrating the lines as well, and in the future as well. Fantastic insight as always. In terms of how's it, you mentioned quite a little bit about him in terms of the Hungarian national scene. How much of a big personality he is in terms of in his view from an international point? Kerkez, is he one of the big characters in the Hungarian national side? Would you say, in terms of obviously he's still a young player, but has he got that type of personality to become one of the big players in the team?
That's a really rough question because. I actually I don't know. I don't know that well. He doesn't speak fluent Hungarian because he was born abroad.
Yeah.
He's from like near the borders, but he's half Serbian, and his Serbian is his mother tongue or mother language. Sorry. So that's what he speaks best, but he also understands Italian and a little bit of English. So he tries to improve himself. But I think there's a really strong language barrier, so to speak. Like he understands, and he gets well with the other guys at the national team. But I think it doesn't help him to become the sort of leader that you're alluding to. Plus, we have Dominic, who is a really strong character and a very big leader. So when you have that sort of a personality and player, you don't really need that much of a leadership from other areas of the national team. So I'm not quite sure, based on how well he does or well he did at Bournemouth and Alkmaar. I would say he's probably like a confident, charismatic guy to a certain point. But I don't know if he's the kind of leader that you mentioned. Well, I guess we'll just have to sit back and see how he does and how he gets on.
We'll find out soon, hopefully. In terms of obviously the final question, the ones I'll ask you, mate, I think a lot of Liverpool fans will be interested in regards to Kerkez in terms of how do you anticipate him to work with Arne Slot? How in regards, do you think Slot will bring the best out of him or help? You alluded to his great crossing before as well. Do you think Arne Slot he'll get the very best out of him, and do you think that partnership will work really well? Him coming into the Liverpool system.
I'm very interested in the new approach because Frimpong is also a very attacking-minded fullback or wingback. So I think there's going to be a new approach with flying fullbacks again, very aggressively upwards, which would also mean that either Gravenberg or someone else has to drop back when we have possession. So it's going to be interesting to see the new approach, the finesse to the tactics and strategy of what is Slot trying to do. I think if he didn't believe in Kerkez, he wouldn't have said, "Okay, yeah, let's sign this kid." So I have to imagine that he has an idea of what he wants to achieve, and he's probably a good fit to that strategy, which gives me confidence. Because in like today's game with so many statistics, data, idea, this modern approach, especially with Liverpool, with how well this era is for us in recruitment in general, I have to believe that that's going to work out. How exactly is he going to play? We'll have to, again, I know it's a boring answer. We have to see how these things work out in reality. I think him and Frimpong will be when we have the ball, they will give us a lot of they will widen the pitch quite a bit and allow Salah and the likes to dribble towards the goal. So there's going to be a lot of attacking players. But the big question for me is how will we organize when the opponent is counter-attacking? Because then obviously you have a lot of people up front, then all of a sudden you have to move back and there's always chaos. So That's the only doubt I have, or maybe not doubt, but I'm curious as to what's the plan for that. And knowing Slot, there is a plan. I'm 100% sure he has an idea. There's a plan. I just don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see.
No, and don't worry, Aaron. It was a very good answer. Very informative as well. Don't worry about that. So, Reds, anyone watching or listening, that was obviously Aaron's great insight as always from Kerkez, and let's hope Liverpool do get this deal over the line in very much future. But as Aaron's alluded to, a lot of his qualities will certainly very much complement this Liverpool side, and it'll be the throwback of the previous years of Andy Robbo and certainly Trent bombing on down the wings as well and putting in loads of crosses. And let's hope that's a sign for the future as well with Milos and obviously Jeremy Frimpong down. If obviously Kerkez's deal gets over the line as well. But another player, Aaron, that Liverpool have just recently signed is obviously he's a very good young goalkeeper. You'll know a lot more than me, mate, but I think Liverpool fans out there will be wanting to find out a bit more in terms of this, a very young goalkeeper. Can you, firstly, I do apologise on the pronunciation. How for Liverpool fans, how do we pronounce, obviously, is it Pesci? Is it?
Pécsi.
Pécsi,
Pécsi,
as well. Yeah, so there you go, Reds. I'm similar. I've done a couple of shows on Florian Wirtz, and I had a couple of German telling me obviously it's pronounced Wirtz. So obviously I'm still learning as well. I want to try and get it as best as I possibly can. So obviously a new young goalkeeper. You wrote obviously an article recently as well, the making of Ármin Pécsi as well recently. What was the most interesting things that you found out about him when you wrote that article as well, Aaron?
Right. So sometimes I write these so that people who do not why would you know about this guy in the Hungarian first division? It's out of nowhere, this signing. I'm baffled that this happened. I'm happy, obviously, but it's such an oddity. So when I write these things, then I'm usually focusing on the story, like why is he where he is now? Where did he start from? All these sort of things. With Pécsi, I have a few things that I find very, very interesting. The first thing is that if you read that article, that he was also a striker at the same time until he was 12. He played sometimes as a striker, sometimes as a goalkeeper. And at that point, the coaches told him that, like, okay, mate, now we have to make a decision. This can't go on forever. It's at a certain age you have to decide. And the reason I'm bringing this in is that, from what I understand from his answer, is that it was his decision. So it wasn't like, oh, I have to talk to my parents, or let me discuss it with a couple of coaches or friends or family. He sat down. It's sort of my idea of how it went down. So, but the way he phrased it, it really sounds like it was. He sat down, thought about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I can be a really good goalkeeper. So whether I like being a striker or a goalkeeper doesn't really matter." I assume he chose the one where he would get the most success out of. So that's really interesting to me. But he also played futsal, which is indoors football. Just for the audience's sake, it's a very quick-paced football. A lot of pressing is involved. So sort of it helps ball control and a lot of press resistance in general. So that the idea of a goalkeeper who has that background, I don't know about you, but that does sound really exciting to me in today's game, especially. So I would say these things are the most fascinating to me in him.
Yeah, that's as you said, it's in the modern era. I think we've seen over the last 10 years, obviously, well, the OG for me, obviously, for all of us in terms of goalkeeping was obviously Manuel Neuer. He's one of the best with the ball at his feet, and obviously Edison over the last 10 years. But let's hope, obviously, Liverpool's new Hungarian goalkeeper can do something similar as well, mate. Got a couple of questions in regards to that as well in a sec. But in terms of Aaron, it was the reported fee 1.5 million in around. Is that, from your understanding, is that an accurate fee in and around that region, a transfer fee for the goalkeeper?
I think it has to be just a tiny little bit more, because the club said that it's a club record fee. And back in, I don't even remember when, they sold Roland Szoboszlai from the national team as well. And by now we know that he was 2 million euros. So it had to be just a little bit more. Let me ask you a question, actually. Do you think that's a lot for him?
It's in terms of the young players. I don't know. Obviously, in European football, I think we had Dominic Solanke. I think remember when we had similar. Obviously, when we brought him in, I think Harvey Elliott as well. I don't think that's in terms of Premier League, the amount of money, Aaron. Do you think that obviously the selling club could have? I personally that it's might be a lot for a lot of European clubs, but not for a Premier League side. I don't feel. Because if you're buying like a potential future talent of Hungarian national side as well, and with the report, I'll ask you in a sec as well that you probably mentioned. Obviously, he's got a big foundation, big like people behind him that want to push him on to achieve better. But I don't think it's a lot, but it might be a lot for certain other clubs and certain other countries as well. Because obviously the wealth of talent, Aaron, the money and in the Premier League, especially for Liverpool. How do you feel with that?
So the reason I asked you this, because if we take 2 million euros as a fee, it's around like top 10 selling from the Hungarian league, all time. So for us, it's a really big transfer fee. But the whole story, for me, it's not really the money is exciting about this, but again, the fact that there's so much data and statistics that a club like Liverpool said, wow, that guy is really good, even though he plays in a poor league from a Premier League perspective. And we don't have a very good track record, so to speak, to like sell players in top leagues. There's only a few players going out. It's rare that we can sell players for a really good sum. And for Hungarian clubs, like around 1 and 2 million euros is like, we made a good profit of this player. So for us, it's a big money, but also the fact that, again, this is the winner of the Premier League that just knocks on the door of a Hungarian club. It feels like there's a few steps that we just skipped. And you have to have done something really good for that to happen to you.
Yeah, and hopefully, obviously, there might be a bit of a good relationship going forward, potentially as well, Aaron. I think that's what a lot of, especially Liverpool, I think, obviously, with our hierarchy in terms of obviously Richard Hughes, sporting director, and obviously Michael Edwards, they're very renowned in terms of as you'll know, Aaron, and a lot of Liverpool fans, the data department in terms of scouting, they do so much, a vast amount of research. But I personally feel, I think it only bode well, Aaron, for a lot of Hungarian clubs, especially the club that we just bought them from, and to just reinvest that money. And I know certainly you'll know that money will get well spent in terms of the academy structure, and it'll just go a long way in terms of hopefully building a lot more up and coming prospects for his previous club as well. Would you say?
We'll see. I don't want to get into politics too much, but just for the sake of the audience, it's the Puskás Academy is pretty much the Prime Minister's club, and even though the name has academy, there's a lot of older foreign players as well. But the infrastructure is really, really good there. So I'm sure they will reinvest the money in some way, maybe one or two good players, maybe in infrastructure. But there's some undeniable nepotism there as well. So you never know where this money goes to. From my perspective, the importance to me is really to see this kid go the long way, because he's really, really good. He played. I mean, he's a guy who got into the first team, like in the goal when he was 19 years old.
Yeah, I was going to.
And
Oh, sorry, Darren. I was going to say, in terms of, could you just give us a bit more? I think you're going to mention it as well. Just obviously, how well has his season been in regards to, in terms of getting the move? Like obviously they did finish second, is it? Obviously the club he's just come from. How well has his season been?
He's been really, really good. The interesting thing to me is that when you think of great goalkeepers, you usually imagine like these huge saves and massive moments where it's like, whoa, he single-handedly saved the team for conceding or something like this. But in his case, he has really good reflexes. He's an excellent shot stopper.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing to me is that he had one or two of these moments, but it was mainly his consistency. And again, this is a kid who just got into senior football out of nowhere, and he just ran with it. He was very consistent. He's very mature for his age. You never felt like, oh, this is a kid that is struggling with all these like big muscular strikers or whichever players that are attacking his goal. He just matched them almost immediately. So that was something that I found really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And the more I think about him, the more I'm realizing that he's just been so good consistently. There's a lot of numbers. I don't want to bore you with so many statistics, but he had the most saves.
Yeah.
He had the most like the word escapes me, but you know, the post shot xG. He saved like 14 goals more than he was supposed to be. So there are some crazy good numbers right there. And the way he usually describes how he's training, he's putting effort into a lot of areas, like reading the game, like when to get involved, how to make decisions. And it pays off really, really well when you just sit down and watch one of his games. You can tell that he did his homework to like, oh, so he is going to shoot if he gets to the box, and then you can see that he's ready. And then obviously you can't save every shot, and obviously you can't win every game. But the fact that he just came in and just immediately became one of the best goalkeepers in the league at such a young age. There's a lot of people who want him to be at the national team already, because he is very, very talented. We can see that he's really, really good. We know Gulaci is no longer available because he decided to step down, and the other guy, Dibus, that we have is at the same age. So sooner or later, you're gonna need new faces to step up and be like, "Hey, I'm the new guy. Give me anything. I'll do it." And he's a guy who definitely has the potential to do something special for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think you've answered me final question there as well. See,
Sorry.
it's all good. No, it's all good. Yeah, don't apologise. Yeah, obviously, I was going to ask you about Peter Galatsky, but you obviously alluded to. You've already mentioned obviously all of his qualities as well, Red. So that was Aron's analysis on obviously Liverpool's new young goalkeeper. And let's hope. Obviously, you've mentioned his great skill sets, and as I said, especially with his ball playing at the back in terms of coming out at the back, we're obviously under immense pressure, as you alluded to there. And I think he's got a lot of his, and hopefully one for the future. I think Liverpool have got and I think even if he in the future as well, where he gets the opportunity of training with the likes of Alisson Becker, obviously Mavrashvili as well, obviously the Georgian goalkeeper coming in now as well. So I think being in that environment, I think historically Liverpool, obviously another goalkeeper you know, Aaron, is obviously Yaros, obviously, yeah. So we've got a very good core of goalkeepers, and I think he'll be a fantastic addition, obviously to Liverpool, and I think it just only bode well for him. And let's hope he can break into the Hungarian national team on a full-time basis, because that will only help his development as well. Heading over in obviously the final section as well, Aaron. Obviously, Dominic Szoboszlai. I love him. I absolutely love him, mate, and I know you do. And he's a phenomenal footballer. He's an integral cog, not just for Liverpool, but obviously for the Hungarian national side as well. I Firstly, how are Hungary getting on, and mainly obviously Dominic Szoboszlai, the captain of the national side, for any Liverpool fans that didn't know anyway. But yeah, how well was the previous result for Hungary? Was it a 2-1 win recently? This week?
Yeah, we, as of this recording, we won yesterday 2-1. It was not convincing, however. We have some problems, mainly, funny enough, at the midfield, because we had a really good lineup and an idea, but the players that did well in that area are either getting old or got injured and did not get back to the same level of intensity. And you know how it is with smaller nations, because we don't have a huge talent pool to pick from, so it's always difficult to have these. But with Szoboszlai is he's very interesting if you compare his Liverpool role to his national team role, because I don't know if the coach asks him or if he just feels like he has to help everybody at every single time. He's everywhere, but my main issue is that he's dropping deep so much. Yesterday, I've seen him across the defensive line. So it's because he's the best at distributing the ball to dictate the tempo and all these sort of skills that apparently we do not have other players. But because he is playing so deep, even though he starts these movements, we don't have an end product, or we just can't see it through. So I would like to see him to be more involved at the attacking area, which, funny enough, is always something that I read about him for Liverpool as well, because most people just see the numbers like, okay, but what about the goals, the assists, and all these sort of things? Because when he was, I think when he signed, there was this not false narrative, but all these like, oh, he's the Hungarian Gerrard, and he's gonna be so good, and look at the crazy goals he scored, and
It's
entirely
difficult.
different
It's difficult, isn't
lifestyle.
it? Yeah, it's difficult. Steven Gerrard is no way like he can be that good, mate. But yeah, it's difficult, mate. And as you allude to, it's interesting that you mentioned obviously picking up a bit more of a like we just class. I think we're classed as like the 6 role or like a 6/8. But I think going forward, I've got a question that I'll ask you at the back end of the show as well, in terms of how well suited from a tactical point of view as well for Liverpool. But yeah, that's very interesting, mate. Do you think those goals and assists will eventually come at Liverpool, or it's difficult? Because I think when I've watched some Hungary games, obviously in the last tournament as well, I think obviously you smashed qualification in the qualifying stage. Was it year before last anyway? And then it's difficult when you come up against bigger, more structured teams in terms of like with Liverpool. Obviously, we come up against teams that are very low block, very defensive. Would you say obviously that there's more space for Dom in an international stage, and from a Hungary perspective, he's got a bit more license to roam and create and score, really, for you?
Generally speaking, he always has a lot of freedom for Hungary,
Yeah.
because he has the energy and work rate to make it work, and also the intelligence. I always make these examples of when Kerkez flies up for Hungary. He is almost the only person who realizes like, oh, okay, there's a huge gap. I should probably move there. And these movements go so unnoticed a lot of times that you have to like be at the games and look out for like, oh, he's doing that. Because when you just sit down, watch telly, you don't see these sort of things, or you don't necessarily realize that that is what's happening. So I'm rambling a little bit, but that's his freedom is always there.
Yeah.
We have a lot of issues with low blocks, actually, because other than Dominic, we don't really have these sort of creative players who can make something happen.
Yeah.
And if you watch Hungarian games, you can also see a lot of times when he tries a clever pass, it's a great through ball, but he does not have Mo Salah or Luis Diaz to make the run for it. And when his teammates realize what they were supposed to do, it's already too late. So it's a little bit of an issue for Hungary. For Liverpool, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think by now he is an established first team player. So there's probably less pressure on him. The first year was not too lucky from his perspective, I think, with injuries, with the depleted midfield, so many red cards. He always had to just defend a lot when it could have been the game where he scores a few more goals. So I think he was a little bit unlucky at the first year, but he did okay. Now he did much better, in my opinion. I'm very happy to hear that you like him, because I like him as a player a lot as well. I'm a little bit sad that he did not have more time with Klopp, because it just felt like such a great like matchup to have this player under Klopp, just such a Klopp coded player. But I'm over with that. I'm happy with Slot as well, because he's more tactical. So I think you can learn a lot from him as well. I'm hoping that the changes that I spoke about earlier will allow him to have more assists. There's going to be so many more movements and players running into channels, that I'm hoping that will bring more assists for him. I'm not sure about goals, because for whatever reason he's not shooting as much as he used to do. I don't know what about that. Maybe it's something that he's being asked, or he just didn't feel comfortable enough. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think I concur. I'd agree with obviously what you mentioned with Klopp. I think both of them. I think both personalities, both the way both managed, and obviously Don plays. He plays with a lot of freedom. Really, he's a lad that works extremely hard, as you've alluded to. In terms of going into, just in terms of, I think you mentioned the season before. In terms of how well have you been? How proud have you been of Dominic in terms of how well he's fitted in regards to a Arne Slot system, and in terms obviously the season he's just had, and for my analysis really, but most importantly, more interested in what you think, Aaron, in terms of that. I love him. I think he's still got levels to reach in regards to his development, but in terms of your analysis from last season, in terms of how he impacted the game, how he impacted the team, is there still levels in terms of him? Obviously, he's still only 22 years old as well, so he's got plenty of years ahead of him. How excited are you in regards to obviously him in an Arne Slot system? Do you think there's still levels for his game to elevate, to go to?
I'm really hoping to. I can see he's an interesting character, because he's one of those people who are seemingly never satisfied. When I did 9 good games out of 10 moves, but there's that one. How can I make it 10 out of 10? He's such a perfectionist of a character that I think helps him to be driven all the time, because he wants to do better and better, and it's not enough, and I want to push myself to do well. And I can see the frustration when for example, in the national team, when things don't go well, you can see that he's really trying to do whatever he wants to solve it somehow. And this mentality is that I believe that he can still grow and he can still be better. And I'm really confident in him, because I can see from the backstage videos and how he behaves. I really like the pictures at the bus when they were around the city. You can tell that he's having a good time. He is accepted. He likes his teammates. The teammates like him. And it's really, really important. It's a group effort all the time, and from what I see, he enjoys being there with these players, with this level, and that also pushes him okay, we have these talented guys, we have such a good team, we have to make work of it. And you can tell he's really disappointed if they don't have a specific result. He was devastated when the Champions League knockout started, and very quickly Liverpool was knocked out from a penalty shootout. And it's not I gave the ball to Darwin Núñez and then he didn't score, and why didn't he do that, or those sort of things. But he knows the quality. He understands what this group of players is capable of, and if they don't reach that frustrates him. And that's why he is going to, for a few years, I think he can still grow. And then I hope that he can maintain that level, because we need him in Hungary as well. Plus, we want to see, I mean, how often can a Hungarian guy be such an important figure at a title contender in a top league? We have to enjoy that. I want it to take as long as it can be. I just want to see how it goes and just want to go along with the ride.
Yeah, it's just about getting the opportunity as well, mate. I think you and obviously the Hungarian fans out there as well be very proud, certainly, and rightly so as well. One of your star players doing it at one of the biggest clubs in European football, and yeah, it's only going to benefit from my outside view, from an international point as well in terms of football. I think it'll only bode well for the Hungarian national side. It'll improve his overall performances. He'll bring out the best of other players in that squad as well. So it's very exciting, certainly, Aaron. And the final question really wants to ask you, and wants to obviously get your great insight, is obviously the number 8 position possibly. Obviously, we've seen Arne Slot set him a 4-2-3-1 system. I think there's been a lot of rotation of obviously Dom playing in that number 10 role, but obviously in certain games a number 8 position as well. What would you feel in your analysis his best position for Liverpool going into next season and beyond as well?
I think it has to be a number 8.
Yeah.
Because if I think through logically, I don't want him to be a 6, because he's good in front of the goal as well. So it feels like a missed opportunity if he is too far away from the goal and the action up front or in the final third. So I don't feel that's good enough for him. I think number 10 could work out, but from what I see, that's not something that Slot is using in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
So without that, we land on number 8, which is obviously it's a really good fit for him because of the intensity, the work rate. I don't want to repeat myself and bore you to death, but all these attributes and skills that he has, it's a really good mixture. And I think again his distribution is really good in my opinion. So if you put a lot of attacking players that he can pass the ball to, then that's going to work out just as fine, in my opinion. So I would say at this point, from what we know, it has to be the number 8.
Yeah, spot on.
It's in the back of his shirt anyways.
Yeah, that's all good. I tell you. And he's doing really well. And long may that continue as well, Aaron. But Reds, that draws a conclusion to this afternoon's episode with Aron Aranyossy as well. It's been fantastic insight from you, and it's very much appreciated from me and every single Liverpool fan out there. Aaron, massive thank you for giving all your great insight on all the players that we've mentioned in today's podcast as well, Aaron. But as always, Reds, a massive thank you for tuning in. Make sure you drop a like on the video as well, and do get involved on all social media platforms as well. And yeah, Aaron, thank you for joining me this afternoon, buds.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And Reds, look after yourself. Hit that subscribe button down below. Drop a like on the video. And yeah, there's plenty of more great content to come as well. But Reds, you never walk alone. And that's been Anfield Index. Media Matters. Cheers.